Hello and welcome to my shop. This is Jim Dedman, Sawlogs Plastic Hubs. Hope you enjoyed today's video. We'll be doing something interesting, so hang around, let's have fun. Okay, today's build is going to be making this speed handle wrench. The one thing I'm going to tell you about this wrench is I like to bore these and press these really tight. And these are tight. Everything's mill flush when you get done, and you don't have to worry about the inserts wearing out. It doesn't have the little patterns because it really doesn't matter. It just makes your strength better. Everything on this project come from inside of my shop except one item, or two items. That's the sockets. And the sockets was picked up at AutoZone. No, Tom, no snap-ons. I'm not going to cut them up. So that's what we're doing, and that's the project. And at the end of the video, you're going to see who I'm sending this to, because I've got one, obviously, myself. So this is for somebody that I think needs one of these. So hadn't seen them use one, so I'm going to ship it off to them. So one thing I'm going to say before we start this project, this is size for Kurt Vise, which has got the bigger handle. Pragmatic Lee's got a video, and I have two on making one of these, but I'll tell you the truth. The reason I'm redoing this is A, I'm doing it because I'm doing a gift, and B, I want people who maybe have 4-inch vices and a smaller mill in their home shop that watch my channel, maybe not in the idea of making videos, to go ahead and make one of these. And you can use, all you got to do is just go get sockets to fit and bore them and press them. These are pressed, they won't come out. In fact, this is like a 3 or 4 thousandths press fit. So them suckers are in there, and you can do this in your home shop as a project. Yes, you can buy these for $30, but hey, it's not near as much fun. When sawing a socket, you have to be careful. And so with these saws here, it don't have a hydraulic feed. You kind of got to hold them and try not to let it fall too quick, because what tends to happen is when it gets down here and kind of gets through the basically into the this is a short piece of solid bar. This would be a lot easier. I'm kind of not, what I'm doing is I'm sort of just holding it and letting it sort of go. What it does is you only actually have 2 walls. It's like cutting a bore. It's not like cutting a piece of pipe, because obviously it's a lot harder than a piece of tubing or pipe. So what we're going to do here is there we go. This one here is cut just a hair bit further back, but that's fine, we'll face them. Okay, off to the lathe. The face, so I'm going to take some light cuts. This is a little bit, the lathe can handle it because it's not really that hard to deal with. I'm going to make sure that one thing I'm going to be very careful about is make sure it's good and tight. You're not going to collapse a socket because they've pretty well got some strength to them. So what I'm going to do, this is the shortest of the 2 off the saw. So we're going to true this one up, and this is going to be the one that's going to be the control length everything's made off of. Basically, as long as it's cleaned up. Yes, there's obviously going to be deburring involved, but not quite. Still got some dirt right there. Because see, this will be seen. It has to be clean because this will actually be seen. And I've made this, this will probably not be like, I don't know yet how I'm going to do this. This one may not be like a dedicated video. And one thing I will tell you about doing this, let me see if I can go ahead and get the file, get the burr off the back of it. Personally, when I make these wrenches, I want the, what I do is, first of all, there's people on YouTube, Mr. Pragmatic Lee especially, who made one of these for a smaller vise, who done the deal where he cut the hexes. Well, my thing is, if I bore this and shrink this in, it's going to hold. You see me using mine a good bit. Whoops, I dropped, excuse me for dropping the socket. I'll get it because I'll need it. But the bottom line is, this is going to be an insert, and you got all the wire of a socket, so you'll never wire it out. I'm coming across to finish up, and I'm getting the finish I'm looking for now. The fly cut and a little insert change, and it made all the difference in the world on it. And now it's nice and smooth, a little bit of coolant on it, a little bit of cutting oil. I'm going to let that go all the way to the end there and make sure there's no back drag on it, and it will change out and check the size and see how much we got to take off. So all I'm doing is taking light passes and cleaning this up. This is just about the same width as my other piece, and I'll be a bit honest here in full disclosure. This was mine, I wouldn't do all this. I'd just put the holes in it, use mill finish. But this is a gift, so I want it to look a little prettier. But it does need to be thinned down though, because it is a little thicker. It's harder to get the stock. Really, it's better to use 1/2-inch stock, and I didn't have it, so. Yeah, it'd been nice to been able to have 1/2-inch sockets. You know, get your sockets 1/2 inch, but you could have used deep wells. Would probably accomplish that. So all I'm caring about is just making it have a really good outside finish, because this is not going to be anodized. This is going to the standard finish right on out the door when it leaves here. Okay, we're going to whirl 30 thousandths off to start with and see how we like it. We got somewhere around 100 to come off of this side to get it down to the size I'm wanting. So I love my fly cutter. I'm not going to step drill these. This is a 31/32. That should leave me some boring room, plenty of it. We're just going to drill it with a one shot. This is aluminum, so drills are moving, walking just a bit, but see, it's drilling pretty good in aluminum. I've got the speed down about 210. I'm not trying to run through here in a drill may be bent just a bit, but it's going to be just fine. As long as I'm just trying to get rid of the most of the material. By the way, I don't have any parallels under here. When I paralleled this up, I tightened it down and left it, so I'm a little disappointed how wobbly that drill is. And that's not an import drill, actually. That's an American drill. So if this was steel, I'd stamp drill it. This is aluminum, so there's just no use to work ourselves for depth. Now we should have plenty of stock to do our boring operation. I think this is not true as I'd like it to be, but let me double check before I do anything. We'll start set up for the bore. Yep. Got plenty of stock to work with. I just have an import boring head, and I'm starting it out at about 600 here, and let's just see what happens. I've touched it, and I'm allowing a lot more travel, a lot of quill height. Main reason for that is so that I'll be able to get to the measuring devices I have to move. And we're going to see how this insert works too. Okay, we got a bore through there, and now we'll measure it and we'll get started. Okay, I've got that one exactly where I want it. It's about 3/1000 undersize right there. That's going to be a really good tight fit when we press it together. So, and what I've done is I've marked these. This one says middle, and that's to let me know this one will go in exact that spot. Now we will set up and place the hole and do all that stuff, and basically we'll go over here and calculate where we want this hole to be drilled and drill it, and then do the same procedure. One thing I did do, I've never used this bar since I set it up. I had to relieve it. That's why it looks so cruddy when I first went in there. But if you'll notice, that is an excellent, really slick, pretty finish. You can't hardly beat that. So we're going to get set up and we'll get this other together. Now you can see how well this thing works, that little insert I fixed. The first one I showed you, the bore was kind of rough. It was actually dragging on the back of the insert. Wasn't enough relief in the bar, actually. I had to take the bar out and sand it. Hopefully I should get a little cut this time. There we go. So you can see it, this bore is such a nice, pretty, just a nice, slick finish hole. Just neat. And like on the lathe, I like to bore in and out. I don't want to leave no lines. So I want a nice, pretty finish all the way through. Okay. Another thing, I'm particular. I'm the kind of man that would wear a belt and suspenders. So what I like to do here is that way I know what I'm moving instead of depending on marks. And that keeps me out of trouble. So this way I know exactly, whoa, well, hopefully I didn't move it that much. Sometimes if this will shift, that'll change that too. You're just trying to get an idea of what you're moving to keep you from making a mistake. All right, let's see what we got. Before we start the handle process this morning, I'll kind of bring you up to speed with some clips you've seen already here lately. I had some problems. I actually scrapped the cut one, and so I had to go back and remake it. So basically what I've done off camera is get us up to this point. Basically the same thing you've seen, except I ground this around and this. These are bored and pressed in. And after I pressed them in, I went and tucked my 3/4 insert mill and built the top of this. The reason that way I got it flush. I got this back one really tight and I didn't get a good press on neither one of these, but it pressed through, which is good because they don't move. And I would hate the recipient, which is still to be named unnamed, for it to fail on. So this is where we're at today, and this morning we're going to make a handle. I didn't go buy any shoulder bolts, by the way. There's my shoulder bolt. It was one of the ones that I picked up when I was still working at Eaton out of the junk pile. So, or not junk pile, just laying around or whatnot. Sometimes mechanics would take stuff apart and put new screws or stuff in them and lay the old ones around. So that's what that is. And this morning in the shop is fairly warm. It's 53 in the shop without the heat on. So all I need is one heat. So let's get started. Okay. This piece here happens to be a piece of my scrap bin. And we're going to cut a taper on it anyway. So instead of, because this is going to be a handle, so there will be a taper machined on this anyway or anyhow. So the first thing we're going to do this morning, so I'm not worried about that little step right there, is obviously face it off. We're going to do a center drill. Then we're going to put up basically a 1/2 inch hole up the center. In fact, let me double check that number. I know there's a lot of different opinions on drilling. And I watched a video this morning of Everett's workshop, and he has his unique opinion on drilling. However, I'm a bit old school. As long as your machine's got the power you can drill with it, drill it. Especially in softer material. Something really hard like stainless. So we got to put a 1/2 inch hole through this really deep. So this is going to be a slow process. And this is going to be the hole for the inside of it. Why am I using this big of shoulder screw? Because I've got it. So it's going to be a while of peck drilling to do this, so I'm not going to bore you with it. Alright, this is the last little bit of drilling that we've had to do. We really had to drill this really deep. So that's plenty deep enough. Now we're turning down the OD to the size for the handle. And since I'm between centers, I'm having to use a sharper pointed insert to be an MG. And like I say, don't be alarmed at what you see down here. That doesn't really going to matter. We're going to cut that off here in a few minutes when we start putting the taper on the handle. Right now all we're doing is just machining this off and getting us a rough size. And again, this isn't going to be, as I'm going to say, perfect sizes. So we're shooting for something around 900 thousandths. So I got about 70 more to go. And I said around. It doesn't have to be exact. So 20, 40. I'm going to go right there. That's going to get me close. Right there is what we're going to do. We'll slide that right down the OD. One of the big problems with the toolings that I use, a good example, I can't get a CNMG in between these centers. Even if I go to smaller center, it doesn't tend to work as well. So this is why we do this. So this is going to be the basic outside diameter we're going to start with. Again, I'm turning it plenty long. What we're basically going to do here is that's it. Okay, so I got to do this by hand just because of the fact that I just don't have no room here to work. So the way I'm going to do this, that's the first pass. It's going to be really difficult because I'm going to be right in here beside of the... Alright, so that's the first... Basically you see the blue line there, that's approximately halfway up the part. And we're just turning this taper to that line. So whatever dimension that I end up getting, on the bottom is going to be what I get. I'm basically aiming for a, just aiming for that line. That ain't as smooth as I want it. Hopefully I can Scotch Brite this and get that back, because that is not going to get it. Poop. Well, it's always feeding straight across the blender. That's not what I wanted, but that's what I ended up doing. And that's one of the things about it is, the sizes on this isn't flexible. This is an appearance thing. This is more or less going to be a handle. So it doesn't have to have a firm size as long as there's plenty of room on the other end. So I'm gonna get polishing on this. Now what I'm doing is setting a stop. I'm just taking the tool. I want this to be a little bit sloppy. So right now I'm just eyeballing the depth. Pointed the insert into here, and then we're going to bore this out, this small boring bar. It's going to be so shallow, we're going to do all this by hand. And let me get a quick check, see where we're at. On what I want, it's going to be a little sloppy. It's got to be a little over around 3/4 of an inch up. So see, we're going to have a thin wall up here. We like about 100 thou. We'll go ahead and change the feed direction. We'll feed out as we bore out. I don't know if I'm going to be deep enough till I get it done. So me knowing I need the 100 thou. See where I'm at. And I'll bring you back after this. So I get it when I get it on size. There's no use to me boring the crap out of you. You're approximately 100 thou. Okay, this is a surprise gift. I'm going to send this up to Mr. Pete. He's recently, got a horizontal mill, and somebody gave him a Kurt Vise, and I thought I'd send him up a little present speed handle. So I thought I'd whip this thing out. So that is the completed project, and that's the mystery who it's for. So I hope you enjoyed the build. I hope you enjoyed the video. So let's put a disclaimer out of the way. This video is my idea how to do things. It's not the only way. So I hope you enjoyed it today. The other thing, comments are always welcome. Please take the time, if you feel so inclined, to make a comment on my videos. Also, I appreciate all my subscribers, the new ones and the new ones. And finally, the other disclaimer. This is a copyrighted production of James Dedman, Sawlogs Plastic Hubs, for your enjoyment on YouTube. Thank you. Have a great day, and we will see you in the next video.